So let's talk about Guinness World Records, but not just for trivia night. We're going to ask a bigger question. What in the world do the tallest man, a biscuit-dunking bungee jumper, and a running record from 40 years ago all have in common? Well, they're all these incredible windows into the absolute extremes of what humans can do, our crazy drive to be unique, and yeah, our occasional wonderful weirdness. Let's get into it.
Because when you boil it down, that's what this book really is. It's so much more than a list of the longest, fastest, or heaviest. It kind of holds up a mirror to one of our most basic desires, to push boundaries, to see what's actually possible, and to, leave a mark. Every single record tells a story about who we are.
All right, so to start, let's look at the records we don't choose, the ones that are just dealt to us by biology. We're talking about the truly remarkable outliers of the human form, where genetics creates a reality that most of us can barely even imagine.
Okay, so on one end of the spectrum, you've got Sultan Kosin from Turkey, who stands at an incredible 251 centimeters because of gigantism. And on the complete other end, there's Jyoti Amge from India, who is just 62.8 centimeters tall due to primordial dwarfism. These aren't just numbers on a page. They represent the mind-blowing diversity of our species. Their conditions shape their entire world, from Sultan's daily struggle just to find clothes that fit to Jyoti's really successful acting career in shows like American Horror Story.
And to really get a sense of the scale of Sultan's life, just look at this number, 60. That's his European shoe size. It's such a simple detail, but it perfectly illustrates the daily challenges that come with living at that kind of biological extreme. I mean, can you imagine trying to buy a pair of shoes? Or even just fitting into a car? But to really understand our own limits, it kind of helps to see where we fit in the bigger picture, in the natural world. So meet Jonathan. He's a tortoise who was born way back in 1832. At 192 years old, he has lived through 2 world wars and the invention of flight. His incredible lifespan really puts our own into perspective. It shows that when it comes to longevity, nature itself holds the ultimate record. Okay, so we've seen the records we're born with. Now, let's dive into the ones people actively go after. This is where human drive, discipline, creativity, and sometimes just pure absurdity really takes center stage. The range here is just staggering. You've got the raw athletic power of Zion Clark, who was born without legs and can walk 20 meters on his hands in under 5 seconds. Incredible. Then you have the completely unexpected talent of a 17-month-old becoming the world's youngest professional artist. And then there's just pure passion, like Bob Britall's comic book collection of over 94,000 issues. And on the far end, you have these feats of unbelievable courage, or maybe madness, like covering your head in 60,000 bees for 4 hours. It just goes to show you, the human drive for distinction is this huge spectrum from the totally sublime to the truly bizarre.
And that brings us to a really fascinating question. I mean, we get athletic achievement, we understand artistic talent, but what about the records that are just delightfully pointless? Why on earth would you do them?
So let me introduce you to Simon Barry. He set the record for the highest bungee jump biscuit dunk. I mean, think about the precision required here. He jumps from over 73 meters up, that's like a 24-story building, just to perfectly dip a biscuit into a tiny teacup. This is a perfect example of how, in the modern era, record-breaking has almost become a form of performance art, something designed to go viral and capture all of our imaginations. But some records aren't just bizarre, they feel impossible. So let's look at achievements that are so extreme they've become almost mythical, standing for decades. Seriously, why have some of the greatest athletic records from the 1980s never been broken?
Just look at these dates. The women's 800-meter record has been standing since 1983. The women's 400 meters since 1985. These aren't just old records, they're like artifacts from a completely different era of sports. And do you notice a pattern here? So many of them were set by athletes from Eastern Bloc countries during this very specific period of time.
This forces us to ask a really provocative question. With all of our modern training techniques, nutrition, and technology, why can't today's athletes get past these marks? Have we actually hit a wall? Or is there something else going on with these particular records? And this is where the story takes a pretty controversial turn. A lot of experts point to one major factor: less stringent doping controls back in that era. The theory that most people subscribe to is that these records were achieved with the help of performance-enhancing drugs, creating a benchmark that clean athletes today may be physically incapable of reaching. So these records, they're not just about athletic skill. They're a really complicated legacy of sports history. So when you look at all these extremes, what is a world record really? Well, it's a reflection of our incredible biological diversity. It's a testament to our discipline and our just boundless creativity. But more than anything, it's an expression of this deep-seated desire we all have to be recognized, to be unique, and to show the world that maybe, just maybe, the impossible is possible after all. And that leaves us with one last thought. We've explored the biological, the creative, and the athletic records that define our past and our present. But that human drive to push further, that never stops. So the real question isn't just about what we've already done, but what comes next. What unbelievable human achievement is waiting just around the corner?